All right,
guys. Tonight, and by tonight I mean at 5 o'clock, it is the first ever Ultimate Spinoff show. The Ultimate Cavs show debuts tonight at 5 o'clock. Jason and I recorded it this morning. We had some scheduling things later tonight, so we recorded it this morning. I'll be honest, Jason, you could attest. I think it came out very good. If you're a diehard Cavs fan, you want to hear some basketball-only talk tonight at 5 o'clock. The Ultimate Cavaliers show tips off. Ultimate Brown show starts Monday with G. Ultimate 216 next Thursday with Earl. Ultimate Guardians coming as well. But the first ever Ultimate Spinoff show tonight, 5 o'clock. Make sure you guys tap in, tune in. Myself, Jason Lloyd, talking all things Cavs. And speaking of Cavs.
Hang on, I'm going to plug Mike.
Please.
That sounded weird.
Yeah.
But pause.
Definitely
That
not
was a
please.
pause,
Definitely
yeah.
not please.
Man,
Mike
Lord.
knows his stuff on
He does.
basketball, and this podcast is going to give him an opportunity to show it. He played
Spread
at a high
his
level.
wings.
No, I'm serious. Like, he played at a
Yes.
high level. He sees things. Like, I enjoy talking to people who see the game differently than I do. And Mike's one of those guys because he played the game, so he can see the nuances that I don't see. I have I have the institutional knowledge of having covered the Cavs for a real long time, still knowing a bunch of people in that building, knowing a bunch of people around the league, so I can bring that context to it. But in terms of like how it plays out, I think you're really going to enjoy listening to Mike break down basketball and break down the Cavs. It's something we don't get a chance to do on this show very often because the Browns take up so much oxygen on the show. But if you're a diehard Cavs fan, I think you're really going to enjoy listening to Mike break down just the plays, the players, and how they all fit together. I really enjoyed it.
I mentioned that yesterday, that this is going to, for Cavs fans, it will be the mandatory, if you're only going to watch or listen to one thing, I think this show is going to be it. And also, yesterday, we were having a conversation about, so who goes in the rotation if you start, because now you're talking about like the 8-man playoff rotation and who's going to be out. And I think everybody was kind of in agreement about Dean Wade. And you wisely said, wait a minute, guys, here's a guy with a lot of different tools, and you got to be careful to push him to the side because he can help you. And watching him specifically last night, hearing your voice echo in my head, I kept saying, Mike's right. Mike's right. He's not a guy that is just going to jump off at you, but when you look at all the little things he does during the course of the game, you're
Dean?
like, yeah, he's got value.
Dean was a plus 20 the other night when he shot 2 of 8. And
What was
a
he
plus
last
20.
night? I think he was plus 17 last night.
I didn't look at what it was last night.
It was,
but
again, the same
whatever
thing.
night.
Is
whatever
plus
night we were
minus
there.
something that NBA people take very seriously?
We look at
It
it.
depends.
Yeah.
It's a metric. It's not the end all be all by any means. But sometimes when it is so much glaringly, drastically different than everyone else,
Yes.
that's when you notice it and say, okay, what's going on there?
Plus 19 last
Is there
night.
something with the chemistry of that guy with other people?
I mean,
that means something? Right.
It's just another shooter on the floor. To me, like, Evan's first game back, Evan was a minus, and Dean was a plus 20, and it has to do with the spacing of the floor, how you have to defend that, and the driving lanes that it creates.
One thing we got to be careful of. We're building up Mike's ego a lot.
I'm okay with that.
We gotta calm
I'm
down
okay with
with
that.
that.
I think Mike has a lot of friends that he played with. Mike's college is kind of like, how Miami of Ohio is the cradle of coaches?
No,
Mount Union.
Mount Union.
No.
And John Carroll.
No, but Miami of Ohio before Mount Union. If you go back, Bo Schembechler, Woody Hayes, a lot of greats came through Miami. Then it became Mount Union. But
we don't like Miami. We don't do that.
I know you don't. I don't either. I'm a BG guy. There's something about your alma mater that has produced NBA executives.
I'm going to do that story this summer. And it's summer
you know
league.
what?
I'm
Give
gonna
them
do that
some
story.
pub because
Yeah.
they're out there, right?
Yeah, we got 2 current GMs, 3 current video coordinators, and 3 current
It's
assistant
crazy.
coaches.
It's
And
like
the video coordinator job is a lot more important than it sounds.
It's an assistant coach job, yeah.
It is, and it's usually a stepping stone
it's a
to bigger
pipeline.
things.
Yeah, it's a pipeline.
Eric
Yeah.
Spoelstra was the video coordinator.
That's exactly
now
right.
a former teammate of mine is in that position in Miami. So
Yeah, so it's interesting what's going on there. But Mike is a different basketball mind.
Yeah.
Sees the game from an expert point of view, and I think this show is going to be a huge. You're going to have all the big Cavs fans, and once they trade Mobley and Garland to LA for
we talked
LeBron,
about that tonight. So
this will probably be the number one
That's right.
podcast in all of America. You're laughing at that. You
They're
weren't here.
not trading Mobley or Garland.
I remember when he did that with Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, he
was
did.
screaming
hey,
at the top of his
real
lungs.
quick. If you guys ever do feel like I am getting a little too cocky, please Put me back on my
Oh,
pedestal.
we'll do
Not
that in a
now, please.
heartbeat.
That is full for
As
you
they
guys
say
in
at
the
New
chat,
York Minute.
for you guys behind the glass, for you guys out there. But, G, you brought this up yesterday. It was fascinating. And, Bull, I'm going to say it again. No one's better to have this conversation with than Jason Lloyd because he was in the locker room when Kyrie was here. But Donovan Mitchell was named the Eastern Conference Player of the Month for the month of January. Just the second Cav to ever do that. LeBron, Donovan Mitchell. And, G, you mentioned it yesterday.
It's close as hell.
Is this year's Donovan Mitchell,
Close.
this version we're seeing right now, the January Donovan Mitchell, better than peak Kyrie Irving when he was here in 2016? And Corey
Is that
answered
fair
immediately.
to look at just 1 month, though, Mike?
Well, I'm saying this.
No,
I'm saying
it's-
right
yeah,
now,
Donovan
like,
Mitchell
this
right now.
Donovan Mitchell
Okay.
versus the
Yeah.
peak. I'm just saying the last month's been the best month of his career, frankly.
It's close.
Kyrie
man.
Irving in 2016 versus this Donovan Mitchell.
It's really
Pick
close.
your- pick your warrior.
It's close as hell,
I
bro.
want to see what Jay says, too.
I'll go last.
We discussed this yesterday, and we were
discussed
all
it
kind of like,
you talked about it at length?
Well, no,
well,
not
we were
at
all
length.
just
No,
like,
briefly.
God, that's a really tough one. For some reason, Corey, my son, texted the show, and because there was some talk that Mitchell was better, and Corey was like, "You guys are out of your tree."
Yeah, this ain't hard for me.
Yeah,
This
go-
is not hard.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
It's Kyrie.
And after listening,
You don't think it's close?
Oh, it's not close.
Yeah,
it's Kyrie.
Yeah, I agree.
He hit the biggest shot in the history of the franchise when everyone is exhausted and couldn't even get up and down the floor at the end of Game
that's
7
ultimately,
of an attrition series that took everything that everybody had out of them.
It's as big a pressure moment as you can
Go
imagine.
back and look at Donovan's playoff performance the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Until that
Now-
changes, it's not close.
In fairness, Kyrie's done nothing without LeBron.
Facts.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay.
And Donovan Mitchell's always been the best player on his team.
See, that's the
Facts.
difference.
That's not an apples-to-apples
For me, that's the
comparison.
difference because Kyrie was always the 2 here, and
Right.
Donovan Mitchell has to be the 1.
Now, I get what you're saying, Jason. Ultimately, Kyrie made the biggest shot in the history of the franchise, and so you got, yes,
That
you have
dude-
to put him ahead.
Say
But
what
it's
you-
not an apples-to-apples
Say
comparison.
what you want about him.
Yeah.
That dude don't care. Like,
He doesn't.
He don't care what
No.
you think.
He's
He
not
doesn't
scared.
care about the moment. He just is, and he is a magician. And Kyrie and I did not get along at all. He didn't get along with anybody. I was with him longer than anyone in his career, and I don't know him any better than anybody else. So this isn't me like obviously I admit that I have bias toward LeBron because I had a better relationship with him. With Kyrie, I'm just telling you, this dude was a wizard with the ball in his hands. And he does things on a court that very, very, very few people can do. It's not close to me. And Donovan's a wonderful player. He's a terrific player. He's a top 15 to 20 player in the NBA today. But if you are talking about you need a guy who's going to go win you a championship, I saw what Kyrie can do. I haven't seen it yet out of Donovan.
And that's fair.